Hey you, so on this video, will these things cause the next spike or rising spot, or what will cause the next rising spot? I wanted to give my opinions, my own personal opinions, on a few things or events or situations on what I can see maybe triggering the next rising spot. But I also wanted to get your opinions, anybody watching and viewing this, as to what you feel will be the catalyst maybe, or the trigger for the next rising spot, whatever that may be. As you'll see, I'll be listing down my main three things that I can see happening. As currently where we are in the markets, everything's down. There's been a lot of talk in the past with this or that, or whichever you've heard in the past, you know, at whatever time you've heard within the last crash. It hasn't been the case for where we currently are. And I know a lot of the time in the tail ends of the year, where we are now from your September to December, a lot of things happening then, whether it be world catastrophic events, be it buildings blowing up, or, you know, market crashes, or a lot of scheming and deeming always happens in the tail end of the year. So currently we're down. A lot of people, you know, pegged it being down, whichever market you may be in at these times of the year. So I'm going to be doing this video to see, or to mention, a few things on what I think could trigger the next rising spot, and hear what you guys think that could be. So I'll be jumping straight into these, and starting first off, it would be, our friend across the pond, Donald Trump. Now, why do I believe Donald Trump could play a big role in causing the next spike and spot? Because as of recent, a lot of people have been gunning for Trump. He's been on a lot of people's hit lists in their crosshairs, and he's mentioned, which I found interesting, that if he was to be impeached, the markets would crash. And now I'm bringing that up because I think he's using it as some type of a, you know, bargaining tool, or even to blackmail or threaten people that, you know, if anything was to happen to him, this would just be one of the many major things to happen. But I think it could be a domino effect. If he is to be pulled down, he believes he's in charge or in control of a switch that he can flick that would lead something like that to happen. He obviously thinks that he's caused the markets to be doing great, which they're not exactly doing at the moment, but he may believe that they would be a lot worse off if it wasn't for him. So him being impeached or brought down in any type of way, I mean, at the time of releasing this video, they're gunning for him in every type of way. I mean, we've got moles popping up, lawyers turncoating, you know, he's got insiders, you know, snitching. And I find it funny because he's in a real bad situation at the moment, and I don't know, I couldn't tell you whether it's all planned. You know, he's pledged a lot of things that he won't be able to deliver, or it's all genuine. Whoever knows, you never know when it comes to politics. They're all a bunch of vipers in a pot. So, but I do think it could affect those who are unaware, who have their savings, because if you find yourself in a market crash, everybody gets it. You know, you all get a shot in the eye regardless of what's happening. So if he's claiming that could be one of the things that would happen, I would think people would pay attention. So Donald Trump being pushed or being made to walk the plank could most definitely have us seeing a large spike in spot price. Now, not to forget, at one point before he was elected, you had pundits claiming that the market wouldn't be ready for a Donald Trump presidency, and that a few days after he was elected in, we would see this big crash that would lead to, you know, the domino effect of spot price rising and the likes of, the markets crashing, so one going down whilst the other one goes up. Who knows? I will say, when we talk politics, it's not something that I often do, the boys in charge, whether it be JP Morgan and co, they gain from both ends. When I say that they gain in a strong market, as what they've been doing, a very strong market, they gain handsomely, and they've poised themselves in a position where they will always gain on a down market. And that's technically what we're doing when we're hedging against inflation by putting into physical. So both are 100% possible. It's not like what they've currently got going on is a great thing when they have the current game. I think they make a lot more in the long term with what they've currently got going on, the long game. But crashes are just as fantastic, just like wars are fantastic for them. So it will inevitably happen. Just because it's not happening right now in silver and gold, it will inevitably happen, and they will gain from it. So you can bet your bottom dollar on that. So this is why I can see Trump playing a major role. Trump specifically, he seems to be the spotlight. You have institutions, countries, you know, powerful people that want him out, and they're all, it's very cutthroat at the moment. So I can most definitely see anything happening with Trump affecting spot, maybe in a positive way. Once it goes down, it may go up, but he could most definitely be the catalyst for that. So bringing this straight back to this side of the pond now, a few individuals have asked my thoughts on this, and that's going to be Brexit. So this will be the next one that I'll be bringing up now. Just like Trump, one individual can have an absolute effect on the entire world. I believe Brexit could also have the same effect. You know, we have something where it's not just UK bound, it's the whole of Europe, all the European countries involved. So Brexit, my views and thoughts on that since it came into, I tell you, I'm in no different, or I know as much now as I did then. You know, you have individuals claiming all these things, people want to revote. There's a lot of horror stories going out there. I'm just going off of this instinctively. I'll mention what I've done with my stack since Brexit was announced, but instinctively, I know this for a fact, and so do many others. If we do leave, it's going to be brutally ugly. You know, it'll be the worst divorce in human history. You know, if UK walks away from the table, there's no way those still sitting at the table are going to allow us to walk without it. You know, they want us basically in a situation where we're on our hands and knees begging to come back, and it will be ruthless. It'll be just downright dirty and on the conditions to get back in. Now with that, when we're saying that, then you have the flip side of us going alone. It's amicable to some degree, and it takes us a couple of years to get back on our feet. Either way, it's going to be bad. It's the unknowing. A lot of the companies I deal with, from precious metals into my personal life, individuals have taken some of the steps of moving out of the UK, you know, moving headquarters, banking, everything out of the UK, because it'll be a lot easier for them to move back in, the transition and just the whole process to move back into the UK if we stay and things basically stay as they are. Whereas should it be an ugly divorce and no conditions, you know, from what people are putting forward, it's the big unknown. This is why I can't really speak on it, because I have no idea what they can do. Individuals that do always put opinions forward, it's nothing set in stone. It never tends to work out that way. It just takes one on the other side digging their heels in, and you know, where the rock and the hard place, and that's where they want us at the moment. So I wouldn't dare know. All I can do is put myself in a position where it's unprepared, and for that I've done that in my own personal business life. But when we're talking about the metals here, when I was saying I was getting my stack Brexit proof, it was referring to stuff like silver. You know, many individuals have asked me whether they think silver will still be damn near VAT free as it currently is for us, and I've mentioned I don't know. But regardless, if I'm going to be purchasing silver, whereas I could have drew out a lot of the purchases over the span of a year and a couple of years, I'd put it higher on my priority list. So to get my silver stack specifically to where I want it, and I'm there. I'm easily way past there now. So for me, when it comes to silver, making my stack Brexit proof in case we do have to pay the same VAT we pay in the UK, I could tell you now, I don't think my stack would be as heavy as it is, my silver stack, if I was paying the UK VAT on the silver purchases. It's a double burn really, especially when you see what others are paying in other countries. A few of the bullion dealers I've talked with have mentioned there will be ways, legal ways, as currently we do have somewhat of a loophole when we get from Europe. But I don't want to be in that situation, especially as in an event like that, should it have a knock-on effect and people do start pulling out their savings and wanting to put it into more hard assets like metals, you'll find more people queuing up for them. And then, of course, you know, you get the human greed kick into, I won't even say dealer greed, where they're thinking, I'm seeing an opportunity here. I have more people knocking on the door. You know, I can, hike prices up as long as they're not as high as the UK VAT price, for instance, and it will leave you moaning and groaning. So that was the step I took and what I meant when I was making my stack more Brexit proof. I think gold will still be VAT free, or technically VAT free for what it is. So I took that step. Any other steps I've taken also have been taken in my personal life. But for individuals considering or thinking, I would say, because it's the big unknown, I could easily say, for an individual that asks me, don't worry about it. You know, a lot of the trades and imports and exports will be kept as is, and, you know, just fall back and move at the same pace you've been moving. And should that not happen, an individual would say, well, you know, so-and-so told me it wouldn't be the case, and now I'm being charged big VAT, and silver could be off the radars. It'll be great for those like myself that did stack it when it was at the current price, or pre-Brexit, or, you know, after Brexit. So I would say put yourself in a position, or prioritize. If you're doing silver, you may want to add a little bit more onto your purchases. We haven't got long to go until we find out what step will be taken, or will they just be kicking the Brexit bucket down the road? Who knows? But that can most definitely trigger the next rising spot. Should that all go peak-tongue, pear-shape, and, you know, once again, it'll have a knock-on effect. What happens here will happen all over. I imagine if everybody else decides to step up and walk away from the table, it could just be horrible. You know, we have other situations that ain't as, you know, spoke about as they was once upon a time. I'll get onto that next. So that the next situation that I could see, or that I'm noticing doesn't seem to be so much in the forefront right now, and it ties into the first one I mentioned, Donald Trump, is currently there's no bad guys. When I say there's no bad guys, and it ties into Trump, is usually we have a bad guy on deck. When I say a bad guy, I'm referring to a country that we can call upon the blink of an eye, that we need to go to war with, and we all know that can trigger fear in individuals and have them rushing to put. We have our usual suspects. Off the top of my head, I would say we've got Kim Jong-un, so that's North Korea. We have Iran in whole. I don't think they ever care who's in the main seat there. We have Syria currently with Bashir, and we've got the go-to throughout all of time, Russia. You know, that they're forever going to be their propaganda attackers. And I personally feel like, and maybe surprising here, whereas Trump, when I say it ties into Trump, may be the main cause as to why the bad guys ain't so much in the forefront right now, mainly because he's fighting to save his own neck, and he has, well, you know, people questionable, but he has a warm relationship with Putin. You know, and a lot dislike that, and some can see the benefits on that. You know, it's no war. For those individuals that believe, you know, take the same approach as the government and the president, should a world war happen and we get to nuclear war, they're in bunkers. You know, you're upstairs in your house. So before you're screaming as bloodthirsty as they are, I'll never forget that. They all go to nuclear-proof bunkers and we stay up top. So, you know, we're getting the, you know, slaughtered while they're downstairs to come up to the bloodbath and then, you know, regroup and same thing again. So we face the repercussions, not those in power. So until we get less bloodthirsty, hungry individuals shouldn't passionately follow them, because you're going to be the one taking the beating on their behalf. But it's a good thing. I would say it's definitely a positive, because if you have someone like Hillary who could have been in charge, I could tell you now, a few of those I just mentioned, from Russia to Syria and North Korea, we would be at a critical state with them if Hillary was in charge. She's always up for showing individuals how big her schlong is, you know, and she can get down. So I think it did work out in humanity's favor that Trump's in power, because he's all about the business, whether it be. But I'm sure if push comes to shove, they all have the same hand up their arse that's controlling them, and, you know, it is what it is. But I just don't think they would have preferred. Well, I think they would have preferred Hillary over Trump, and this is why he's currently fighting for his life. But I'm sure he's still marching to the same tune. If they say jump, he says hi, hi. But those are just a few of the things I can see definitely triggering the next rising spot, or a few of events that are either simmered down right now as to why we don't have some type of a situation. We had some type of a war scare, you know, we've had interest hikes, and all of these things were once positioned or said to be the next crash, and nothing's come to be. We seem to be where we are usually with spot price. I want to hear from each individual as to what you think is going to create the next rising spot, because for all we know, we can be here for the next 10 years and not knowing what's going on. Brexit can happen and things will move smooth. They've had a good run in the current market. I think even they want another crash, because, you know, it's great. I believe in a crash, they can get that one big, large sump game. It's like a massive payoff for them, and then get back into the long-term Ponzi scheme, which they gain from every day. So hate or love it, guys. It'd be fantastic to hear your thoughts in the comments as to what you think is going to be, or event or situation will be, the next rise in spot price. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll catch you guys on the rebound.